explosive leaks from inside the CCP. Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang are set to team up and steer Beijing's political future. What will be their first development strategy? What role will General Zhang Youxia play as the holder of military power? Is China quietly entering an era of three separated powers? Welcome back to Final War with Katherine Hu. Today we share intelligence obtained from well-placed insiders inside China's system. Sources we consider highly credible. The core message: Xi Jinping's authority has been significantly weakened. Since Hu Chunhua's Tibet trip, his profile has surged. Together with Wang Yang, he is poised to form the duo that will shape Beijing's political direction. On August 27th, the 15th China Northeast Asia Expo opened in Changchun City, Jili Province. Hu Chunhua attended the opening and delivered remarks. More tellingly, before the ceremony, he toured the exhibition halls, accompanied by the full provincial leadership. Party Secretary Huang Qiang, Governor Hu Yuting, and CPPCC Chairman Zhu Guoxian. That level of protocol is typically reserved only for the party's top leader, and it is unprecedented in the Expo's history. In short, Hu Chunhua's spotlight moment has arrived. So what comes next? What policy direction will Hu and Wang choose? How will they align with Zhang Youxia? Let's break it down, starting with what insiders say about today's political reality in Beijing. Intel number 1, Xi Jinping's grip on real power has already slipped away. First, we can confirm with certainty Xi Jinping has been removed from real authority. According to multiple insider accounts, this fact is no longer in doubt. The only unknowns are when and how it will be formally announced. For now, Xi remains in place only as a figurehead, a temporary stabilizer to preserve the illusion of continuity. But behind the scenes, his power is gone. Intel number 2, Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang to lead Beijing's next chapter. Among party insiders, the choice is nearly settled. Hu Chunhua will succeed Xi Jinping as the party's top leader. Wang Yang will also step forward, most likely as premier taking charge of government affairs. And Hu Chunhua is expected to make one big move right after taking power, reviving the Rural Revitalization Strategy, the flagship project he once oversaw as vice premier. This could mean trillions of yuan in new investment. The purpose is twofold. First, to provide the Hu-Wang leadership with a solid economic foundation as they take office. Second, to use this program as an entry point for broader political reform. It's not just policy, it's a power strategy. Intel number 3, the Central Party decision-making and coordination body holds real power. At the end of June, Beijing's political landscape underwent a seismic shift, the creation of the Central Party decision-making and coordination body. This new institution has become far more than just another committee. In practice, it is now the supreme decision-making authority within the system. And behind the curtain, the one truly steering it is none other than party elder and former premier, Wen Jiabao. Intel number 4, why the reversals? In recent months, we've seen constant back and forth inside Beijing, confusion over succession plans and uncertainty about Xi Jinping's role. The main reason is simple. Xi has refused to yield. Again and again, he has gone back on his word, forcing others to renegotiate arrangements and delaying every step forward. That's why the transition has appeared so inconsistent. But beneath the surface, the direction is already set. That is what insiders close to real power are now revealing. From what I can tell, the sources are credible. And more details may surface in the days ahead. So stay tuned to this channel. What's striking is how closely these leaks align with my own analysis over the past 2 months, especially my recent episodes decoding the hidden signals behind Hu Chunhua's trip to Tibet. In short, here is the core takeaway. Xi Jinping's real influence has already faded behind the scenes. After repeated rounds of internal bargaining, it is now essentially confirmed that Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang will form the new leadership core. And once in place, they are expected to push forward with at least some level of political reform. Why would Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang choose the Rural Revitalization Strategy as their starting point? What would this mean for China's future? The Rural Revitalization Strategy was first introduced on October 18, 2017, in Xi Jinping's 19th Party Congress report. It covered 5 areas: revitalizing rural industry, talent, culture, ecology, and local governance. But at its core, it all comes down to one issue: poverty alleviation. If poverty cannot be eliminated, then talk of revitalization is meaningless. Since the 1980s, the Communist Party has staged one poverty relief campaign after another. The early agencies were called development offices, later renamed the Poverty Alleviation Office. During Xi's first term, rural affairs, including poverty relief, were overseen by then Vice Premier Wang Yang. In his second term, beginning in March 2018, the responsibility fell to Vice Premier Hu Chunhua, who pushed the agenda forward, and by February 25, 2021, Xi convened a high-profile ceremony declaring that China had collectively eradicated poverty and entered a so-called moderately prosperous society. At that very event, the State Council announced the creation of a new, directly subordinate body, the National Rural Revitalization Bureau, and Hu Chunhua was there for the launch. But Xi Jinping never truly took the Rural Revitalization Strategy seriously. For him, it was little more than a slogan. For Hu Chunhua, however, this policy was directly tied to his political future. And that is precisely why, after Hu was sidelined at the 20th Party Congress and sent into semi-retirement at the CPPCC, the bureau he helped launch was quickly dismantled. On March 10, 2023, the National Rural Revitalization Bureau was folded back into the Ministry of Agriculture, ceasing to exist as an independent body. Barely 2 years after its creation, it was dead on arrival. What this shows is clear. The Rural Revitalization Strategy was a signature project under both Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang. Its purpose was to lift rural economies and culture, narrow the gap between cities and the countryside, and reduce the divide between rich and poor. At its core, the strategy was about redividing the cake, reshuffling resources to stimulate growth in the countryside. This philosophy matched perfectly with the governing vision of Hu and Wang, but it was fundamentally at odds with Xi Jinping. Everyone knows Xi Jinping's approach. His mind is fixed on making the cake bigger, but only for the party elite and the state-owned giants. And how is that cake made? By stripping private entrepreneurs of their assets and by squeezing both the rural population and the urban working class even harder. Behind the debate over making the cake versus dividing the cake lies something deeper, a clash of two political lines, the reformist camp versus the hardline Maoist camp. When Wang Yang and Chunhua, as two consecutive vice premiers, brought this reformist vision into Beijing's highest circles, Xi inevitably moved to suppress it. That's why at the 20th Party Congress in 2022, both Wang and Hu were unexpectedly pushed out. Their support for the Rural Revitalization Strategy was a key reason behind their fall. So from my perspective, the insider account fits perfectly with the direction of a Hu-Wang leadership. Both men are deeply familiar with the Rural Revitalization Project, and it offers them a practical, fast-acting tool. By redividing the cake and channeling benefits to the countryside, they could draw unemployed migrant workers back to rural areas, restore vitality and talent to local communities, and at the same time ease the pressure on urban job markets. It's not a cure-all, but it is at least a symptom-focused remedy, a short-term fix that addresses the immediate pain. If Chunhua is to become the next party leader, and Wang Yang the next premier, then the question is, what kind of power structure will they form with General Zhang Youxia? At the Beidai meeting in August, party insiders say 4 key points were agreed upon. 1. For the sake of stability, Xi Jinping would temporarily remain as the symbolic top leader. 2. Xi was unlikely to continue for another term. 3. Power between the party, the government, and the military would be relatively separated. 4. The Central Party decision-making and coordination body would oversee preparations for the 4th plenum. That 3rd point is historic. It signals the likely emergence of a new structure. Chunhua leading the party, Wang Yang heading the government, and General Zhang Youxia commanding the military. Zhang Youxia, notably, has never built his own faction. That neutrality has earned him the trust of Hu Jintao's Reformist Youth League camp. In effect, Zhang and the reformists are forming a relationship of mutual restraint, supporting each other while balancing each other. This is not Western-style democracy. It is a uniquely Chinese version of checks and balances. But even so, it creates an opening for meaningful political reform. At the same time, General Zhang Youxia and General Liu Yuan are said to be pushing for the nationalization of China's military, moving away from the tradition of the PLA being tied to individual leaders like Xi Jinping, and preventing the army from being used as a tool in intra-party power struggles. In this unprecedented landscape, Zhang Youxia may be only a transitional figure, but he has already become a driver of history, a key player in reshaping China's political system. Together with Liu Yuan, he is one of the few insiders capable of moving the military beyond party control. Their actions could lay the groundwork for political reform and potentially future systemic transformation. But here lies the real question. Should China's new leadership preserve the Communist Party system or abandon it altogether? If Chunhua and Wang Yang attempt reforms merely to save the party, the outcome is already written: failure, and most likely a devastating one. Why? because this system has reached the end of its road. Anyone who tries to preserve it will be going against both the mandate of heaven and the will of the people. And in doing so, they will inevitably meet the same fate as Xi Jinping. Look at Xi himself. No one ever held stronger cards. No one was more determined to safeguard the system. Yet his obsession with preservation is exactly what destroyed him. His political setbacks are clear evidence. Resisting the tide of history carries heavy costs. Beyond the verdict of heaven, there is also the verdict of the people. Among ordinary Chinese, the anger is unmistakable. Look at the outbreak of civic unrest in Jiangyu, Sichuan. Look at the nationwide fury sparked by the Yang Lanlan incident. And even Beijing's so-called toilet revolution, where frustrated citizens scrawled dissenting messages across public restrooms online. People now joke. Xi Jinping can no longer just hire guards to watch every pedestrian bridge. He now needs toilet guards to watch every bathroom stall. Think about that. When authorities feel the need to monitor even public restrooms to maintain control, you know the situation has reached an extreme. This is what stability maintenance has come to in China, and it cannot last. As the ancients said, when things reach their extreme, they must reverse. That turning point is now approaching. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.